Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful June the 7th, 2019. Grondo Deportes, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, it has been beautiful down here all day. It's been raining like crazy, but the plus side of that, Charlton, I was able to cut down on my water bill and go outside and take a free shower.
Yeah, I think when you cut down on your water bill, you get your neighbor's water bill to go up, or maybe Mother Nature helps out sometimes too. It's all fair and love and war. What a great day in the sports universe. We have basketball. Basketball's at a crescendo tonight in Northern California. Golden State, they have to win tonight, or I think it's over. If they can find a way to win, then the chances are we might be looking at 6 or 7 games possibly. A lot going on in the world of the NHL. Can you say, is it a foul or is it not a foul? There was a commercial back in the day. Is it live or is it Memorex? We can't tell anymore, Big C, because some teams are getting the benefit of the doubt. Baseball, they're still trying to swing the bat. Some of the top college football quarterbacks are still out there. We've talked about the top 10. There's also a top 11 to 25. We'll touch on that as well. I want to say this show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. I just want to start today's show by just saying, we celebrated D-Day in our country as we have freedom. Freedom comes with a great price, Big C. And so many veterans have fought that price. They paid that price. And a lot of people who are free never had to pay for it. Could you imagine going to the grocery store, getting a basket full of groceries, and never having to pay for it? That's what our veterans have done for us. Big, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when we think about all that our veterans have given for this country, it's the greatest sacrifice for many, Charlton, when we think about D-Day in World War II.
Yeah.
Those young men sacrificed everything for the sanctity of the world, not just America, Charlton, but to liberate the world at that time. The thing that disappointed me the most about this D-Day celebration, Charlton, was our president. He should have been celebrating those lives that were lost, commemorating those.
Yeah.
But yet he's in verbal spats with other politicians on airways, Charlton, blasting other Americans instead of being the commander-in-chief, the consoler-in-chief, Charlton, during the 75th anniversary of Normandy.
Yeah.
He's spending time not celebrating those that are lost, but fluffing up his own pillows and patting himself on the back, Charles.
Yeah, and I know he had a moment where he hugged someone who had served this country and had been injured 3 different occasions. I think the man is, well late into his later years, and had a hard time standing up. And he was actually given a hug by POTUS. But POTUS never told him that he ran 5 times on 5 deferments to do what that gentleman did. It's all fair in love and war, but I just appreciate the members of my family that have fought for this country, and everyone in this country, in fact, all over the world. We have freedom because people put their lives on the line, and I really appreciated that. But I still want to say for those veterans that are having a hard time, and maybe the world has turned its back on them, there's a national suicide hotline. A lot of people have a lot of issues. Also, so for a lot of high school kids, and the bullying is a big thing. I really didn't know how big it was until I started reading up about it. And a lot of times those kids who are bullied, they don't come home and tell their parents. It's just a shame, but I want them to know there's help. There's an 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255. You can call it, it's toll free. For the youth that like to text, you can text 838-255. That is 838-255. There's always some help. You just got to reach out and ask for it. Big C, I know that there's so much going on in the sports now. And if you look at what happened, of course we'll get on Golden State, but I want to look at the St. Louis Blues. Because this team, they were written off, and I'm one of the people that thought they'd win 1 game in this series. And now they lead the Boston Bruins, the mighty Boston Bruins, 3 games to 2, Stanley Cup playoffs. A 2 2-1 lead, or a 2-1 victory. They lead 3 games. No one thought they would be here. I don't know if even they thought they would be here. Give me your thoughts on why they're here, your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, they're there because they thought they would be there. You know, when you're a team, you can't be worried about outside concerns. Everybody on the outside is always drawing these analogies of what players think and what they feel. Players are a family. And when you think about the St. Louis Blues and you think about the blues as a music,
yeah,
and what blues meant as far as a word in music, it meant bringing people together. And this is a team that has fought through, Charlton, adversity from January when they're the worst team in the NHL.
Yep.
And now they're 1 game from immortality, winning Lord Stanley's Cup.
Yeah.
And they have fought, Charlton, tooth and nail, being down, you know, this is the lowest scoring series in the NHL finals that we've seen in a long, long time, Charlton.
Yeah.
That this game was 2-1 in this last game, and St. Louis got up 2-0 on a controversial play.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I thought the San Jose Sharks were still playing because the penalty wasn't called.
So did San Jose. They thought they were playing too.
And the player knew that he should have been called for tripping.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. I mean, he threw up his hands. And the official let him play, and they scored the second goal for St. Louis at that point.
Yeah.
And that, you know, put Boston behind the 8 ball. You know, they came back and made it a 2-1 game, but they just didn't have enough to get over. I mean, Jordan Bennington just played an outstanding game in goal for the St. Louis Blues. I mean, basically held Boston scoreless until that 1 goal with just a couple of minutes to go in the contest.
Yeah.
But for St. Louis to be on the verge of winning the Stanley Cup with Boston, everybody thought they had iron clamps on it, the way that they came out and you know, that they were playing.
Yeah.
But this is what team play is all about.
Yeah.
Never give up. I mean, the great Jim Valvano, former late coach of North Carolina State, when they won the men's championship against Houston, Phi Slamma Jamma. In his ESPY speech after he had been diagnosed with cancer, one of the greatest moments ever on television, when he said, "Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't ever give up." That's become the mantra of the St. Louis Blues, Charlton.
Yeah, and for a guy like Bennington, you think about what he's done. His 15th win ties the most by a rookie in postseason. And again, this is a team that was at the abyss. There was a player, I think, or a citizen in Las Vegas that bet, I think, $400 a kid ended up winning, I believe, about $100,000.
He's a businessman for St. Louis. You know, he bet $400 when he's out there. He says, "Oh, well, you know, it's my expenses. Let me put it down on the Blues to win the Stanley Cup." And he stands to make $100,000 off that $400 bet if the Blues can win one of the next 2 games, Charlton.
Yeah, and he might just do that because Boston has to sweep now. They got to win these 2 or it's over. And I don't know if they can. You know, St. Louis plays better on the road, and just talked about that yesterday, how they have a better chance of winning outside of their own backyard. I don't know why that's the case. Maybe it's less distractions, and I think you can make a lot of correlations in sports when you don't have a lot of people who are bothering you, because they're not going to be on the road with you, and so there's times when you're just not bothered. You can stay focused on what's going on. And the egregious...
Well, you can't count out Tuscan Rask, the goalie for Boston. I mean, you think about it, even though St. Louis won this game, Charlton, he held them basically to the standard that he has held them all series long. 2 goals.
Series.
I mean, 2 goals. Tuscan Rask, when you think about him as a goalie, I mean, he's been as hot as fish grease, and I know you never put the thing in fish grease.
I don't even know what it is.
But you know, you think about how he has held the offense of the Blues in check. I mean, any goaltender that can go through a Stanley Cup Finals, Charlton, and giving up an average of 2 goals a game, you got to tip your hat to it. But that's all he's given up. So St. Louis, I mean, Jordan Bennington played an outstanding game in his last one, basically pitching a shutout until the 58th minute of the game, Charlton. But, you know, Tuscan Rask is the key for Boston in this next game. He is going to have to keep St. Louis in check because St. Louis is going to put the puck on goal. And that's what got them this last victory, Charlton. They attacked Tuscan Rask left and right. They stayed on top of him, Charlton, and that's the whole key in hockey. You have to shoot the puck. If you don't shoot the puck, Charlton, you're not going to score. And Bennington did not allow anything to trickle through the nets.
Nah, he's amazing. And then there's Buzak, that uncalled leg sweep that knocked Akari out of the game and led to the Blues' goal. I think Boston gave up. And we see that, I mean, I've heard people say maybe it was too loud and the players kind of paused and they thought it was definitely going to be a foul, but it was not. It was not a penalty call at all. But so players got to play through it no matter what it is, and you can't make excuses. So I'm just really impressed. St. Louis, we talked so many times. This is a great city. They lost the St. Louis Cardinals back in the day that went down to Arizona. The Rams came from LA, went back to LA. And you just have the Cardinals there in town, and then they have the Blues. But the Blues, if they can beat Boston, you got to tip your hat out to them. And we said jokingly, if the Blues win, people talk about champagne in a cup. But I think there'll be some different kind of libation in the cup for the Blues if they win. Big, so your thoughts?
Well, you know, they may turn that surface of the ice into Anheuser-Busch, Jonathan. They may bring the Clydesdale in and have that slipping around.
Wouldn't that be funny if they brought the Clydesdale onto the ice? I remember Georgia played Texas in the Sugar Bowl, and they brought a big steer down in there, and Georgia had the Bulldog, but Texas had that big steer, kind of a preview of things to come. What are the odds? Prop bet this, Big C. What are the odds that the Blues win? We'll see a Clydesdale on the ice, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that's a far stretch, you know. I mean, you're going to have Peter out there complaining, you know, that it's inhumane to the horse if he slips and falls.
Well, I want to just, before we get to Golden State, I want to just bring up this story we touched on a couple of weeks ago. It was last month, about the horses that have died down at Santa Anita Racetrack in Southern California. I think that's up to 27 now. Now, I don't know if the answer is yes or no, but I know people can put insurance on their equipment when you have a race car. You have insurance on that car. If you have a motorcycle, there's insurance on it. You have sports teams, you insure them. Do these owners insure the horses? Because sometimes I think you can collect if your insurance product, passes away. Does that make any sense? Your thoughts?
Yes, they do, Charlton. On high-end thoroughbred horses, there is an insurance policy on them. I mean, you can do that in all athletics. And so that this is, they're not losing, but, everybody is sitting, what gets me is that these are horses, these are animals. And things happen in life.
Yeah.
But when we have human being life that is lost every day, and it's not a central story on news stations or even a sports station, Charlton, but when it comes to an animal, a four-legged animal, that in European countries, he's dinner.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
He's dinner in a lot of countries around the world. Is that there's more interest and concern put into these horses than we have human beings. Think about our homeless veterans that are living on the street in every city in America.
Yeah.
There's not that much concern put into our homeless veterans, Jonathan, that are living on the street in every city in America that they put on these horses at Santa Anita.
Yeah.
And these horses have insurance. They have great medical care, Jonathan, that our veterans don't have.
Isn't that something?
We just passed D-Day celebration, and people are putting more concern on the deaths of some horses at Santa Anita than they are about the great veterans who served in the military for the United States.
That's very well said. But I do want to close on this thought because I heard it, and I just heard it from some older people who, there's a lot of equestrian parks up here in Northern California. People race horses. No one ever looks into or investigates. An athlete can get investigated and even suspended for having an illegal substance by a league. That's not necessarily a crime. It's just a violation of league policy. But if someone's collecting on the insurance policies and they have ways of making sure you can't detect how the horse died, no one's investigating the owners that have insurance on these horses. And all these good boys are Caucasian men. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's the sport of kings, as they've always said, horse racing.
Yeah.
There's no poor people racing horses, Charlton. You don't own horses if you're poor. And when you're rich and you make an investment in anything, you buy insurance on it.
Yeah.
You buy insurance on your dog. So, you bought insurance on $1 million racehorse.
Yeah.
So you're collecting it.
Yeah. Do you really know of people who put insurance on their dog? Is that a real thing, or you're just talking, Big C?
No, after Will Smith stole the last dog, I put insurance on this thing.
That's funny. Well, I know it's all fair, love, and word. And there's a commercial.
You got a chip in him also.
So you know where it is.
You will be tracking you, just like on an iPhone.
That's so funny. There's a commercial about there's an E-Trade commercial that showed a dog on a yacht, and it said, "Don't get mad at the dog, just get E-Trade." Big C, your thoughts?
Hey, that's how it is, Charlton. You live in the lap of luxury, literally.
Yeah, literally. Well, speaking of putting insurance on people, you think about Carson Wentz. Now, coming out of college, he was always injured. Did play for the Bison, North Dakota State Bison, the green and gold, looked like the Green Bay Packers. And now he signed a contract really of a lifetime. Different stories about where there's in the $4 million, $107 million, $128 million, whatever it is a lot of money. And I just want to get your thoughts on something. He's never won a playoff game because he was injured. And he's never been to a Super Bowl. But the other quarterbacks right around his time coming into the league, you look at Prescott for the Cowboys, who's second in wins. I think he's won 32 games in the first 3 years, only second to Tom Brady. And then you have Goff, who's gone to a Super Bowl for the Rams. This opens up a big window of opportunity for them, and they've succeeded more than he has. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you got to be proud for Carson Wentz to get the money. $107 million guaranteed. That's more money than your cousin got in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And he's got guaranteed money.
Yeah.
He's been on a team that has gone to the Super Bowl, that has gone to the playoffs, even though he's never quarterbacked them, Charlton.
Yeah.
So when you look at this contract that Carson Wentz has received from the Philadelphia Eagles, this is a contract on potential.
Yeah.
That they're hoping that he can live up to the potential. Because the situation is Nick Foles is not around to bail him out any longer.
No.
So if he does not succeed in this contract, Charlton, this is doom or this is win or bust.
Yeah.
It's no two ways about this contract. You either get it done or you're the biggest bust, even bigger than Kirk Cousins, your cousin in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because here it is. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, won it all.
Under Foles.
They were one play away of potentially getting back to the Super Bowl last season.
Yeah.
A drop pass by Alshon Jeffrey. It was a perfect pass by Nick Foles.
Yeah.
And now Carson Wentz has been sitting on the sideline. He's had all the hype through the media that he is the next great quarterback in the NFL, even though he's been injured the last 4 years of his career, college and professional.
College and pro, yeah.
So here's a guy, Charlton, that's been fragile. Now he has no pressure behind him of a Nick Foles looking over his shoulder. There's no excuse that the media can make for Carson Wentz any longer.
No.
If he does not succeed past what Nick Foles did even last season, Charlton, getting the Eagles into the conference championship game, if he does not succeed that, then he is a total failure as an NFL quarterback.
Well, look at what the Washington Redskins just did, bringing in a quarterback who threw for over 50 touchdowns at Ohio State. And then you have Prescott, probably the most successful. Well, based on wins, he is the most successful quarterback in the last 3 years in the NFC. He's only second to Tom Brady when it comes to the entire league. And he's the most probably unrespected, I guess, or less respected quarterback. What do you see is going to happen to him? Are they going to... Jerry Jones is on the block now. Because if you look at numbers, there's no way you can pay Carson more than Prescott. But media, and don't listen to media, most of the mainstream, they've said that black men couldn't play quarterback for many years. Now that they are, they're saying, yeah, but he doesn't have that it factor. He's a winningest quarterback in the AFC in the last 3 years. What is he looking at from Jerry Jones, your friend, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the thing that Carson Wentz is looking at is the downtroddenness of the media. Everyone has constantly said that they would not make Carson Wentz, not Carson Wentz, but Dak Prescott a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
And which boggles the mind. As you say, he's the second winningest quarterback to Tom Brady during the regular season in the last 3 seasons in the NFL.
Yeah.
But because of his skin complexion, no one wants to anoint him. That's the toughest thing in the NFL is that you have 3 black quarterbacks really at the top of the crescendo list.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, the money he's making.
Yep.
You got Dak Prescott doing what he's doing. You know Patrick Mahomes is going to command a big contract in 2 years.
Really big.
So everybody's setting the table for these guys. But the media has a hard time in recognizing African-American quarterbacks as elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Everybody still says that Russell Wilson held Seattle for ransom. No, he negotiated a contract.
Yeah.
It's amazing when it comes down to a minority quarterback.
The use of words.
Is that he's robbing and stealing.
Yeah.
That's the play on words that Russell Wilson robbed and stole from Seattle, even though he took them to consecutive Super Bowls. And without him in the last 2 years, they would have had nothing for a team.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson has been the backbone of that team. If your cousin in Minnesota had the year that Russell Wilson had,
yeah.
everybody would have anointed him as the next great quarterback in the NFL.
Well, yeah.
But when I look at Dak Prescott and the media saying, how can you put your trust in him? You have to ask yourself in the media, how can Philadelphia put their trust in Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
A guy who has been injured, has not completed the season in the last 4. And last I checked, Dak Prescott has played every game except for 1 in the last 4, and the reason he didn't play that because his owner wanted to play his buddy, a quarterback, and the team lost the game.
That is so true. So, give me your feeling because you know about the the lineage of African American quarterbacks. I believe the Oakland Raiders drafted the first
Derek
Dickey and Al Davis
out of Southern University.
Out of Southern, the good boy down south, and Al Davis was under something, but even he felt some pressure because I won't say Al Davis did anything wrong. He gave people opportunity. I mean, the first one to do that. But even since then, we had Joe Gilliam with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he was 11-1 at one time when Terry Bradshaw got hurt, and then they brought Terry Bradshaw back in to help the Steelers win the Super Bowl.
Well, you think about James Harris. James Harris was the first notable quarterback to come out of Grambling.
Yeah.
And I believe it was in 1971 that he led 72 that he led the Los Angeles Rams to the NFC Championship game. They lost a game.
Yeah.
But he also was an all-pro quarterback. Ironically, he never took another snap in the NFL again.
Yeah.
They brought in Joe Namath in 73. They traded James Harris to back up Dan Fouts in San Diego. They sent him behind the best quarterback in the AFC so that he would not get an opportunity to play again.
Well, let me get your feeling, because a lot of young people, they only know what's on that teleprompter. They weren't even born when you're talking about these guys and what happened to them. If without Big C Sports, you wouldn't even hear what we're saying. You would just hear that this guy should have played defensive back or he should have been a wide receiver. That's happened too many times. But it might be easy to say that they just don't want to see an African-American man in a leadership position, and that might be the honest truth. But why is it that you can win, like Doug Williams, 5 touchdown passes in the Super Bowl, beat John Elway, never saw another snap? What is it about the success of black men at quarterback that scares even media from Googling the truth? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it scares them, Charlton, because you break the myth. For years, it was told that African-American quarterbacks were unintelligent, like Marlon Briscoe. When he was drafted by the Denver Broncos, they made him a defensive back. When all their quarterbacks got hurt, even their starter, Frank Tripucka, they ended up bringing Marlon Briscoe off the receiving line and made him a quarterback. He goes 9-1 that year as a starter.
Right.
He never took another snap in the NFL again at quarterback, even though he was 9-1 as a starter in one season, just like with James Harris. You lead the NFL in passing. You take the team to the playoffs. Joe Namath never had a winning season after his Super Bowl year with the Jets in '69.
That's right.
You take a team that was in the NFC Championship game and you trade your quarterback, who was a winner, who had only lost 2 games that year, had a 12-2 season. You trade him for a guy who had never had a winning season other than one in his NFL career. That's how bad the stigma has been about black quarterbacks in the NFL. You would rather lose than to see them shine. Joe Gilliam was 11-1 that season when the Steelers went to the Super Bowl. They bring Bradshaw back in the AFC Championship game to make him the hero and win the Super Bowl.
And I know, and that's so true. So for the young people that maybe when their teleprompter breaks and something comes across the line like Dwayne Haskins is going to be a star at Washington if they just, give him some protection at the offensive line. We know how great Washington is down for the Houston Texans. And then I also look at Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens. And of course, you can look at Wilson for Seattle. There's so many people that have proven. Cam Newton, even if you want to toss in Marcus Mariota, another man of color. Jim Plunkett, I think, has 2 Super Bowl championships, and he's still not in the Hall of Fame.
He will never be put into the NFL Hall of Fame. You think about one of the greatest atrocities in the NFL that has ever been put on a player. Jim Plunkett, former Heisman Trophy winner in 1970 out of Stanford University, will not make it to the NFL Hall of Fame. Won Super Bowl in 1980 in New Orleans against the Philadelphia Eagles. Won a Super Bowl in 1983 down in Tampa against the Washington Redskins. Beat Joe Theismann, who is in the Hall of Fame with 1 Super Bowl win and 1 Super Bowl loss. Joe Theismann is in the NFL Hall of Fame. Ron Jaworski, he had demolished him in New Orleans. And all of these guys are thought of being greater quarterbacks than Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett has a higher touchdown to interception ratio than Joe Namath, who has 1 Super Bowl win. And he's in the Hall of Fame. He has more NFL touchdowns than the late Bart Starr. And an equal amount of Super Bowl wins. He's 2-0 just like Bart Starr was. He's not in the NFL Hall of Fame. So when you want to think about fairness in a professional sport, look at Jim Plunkett. He is a minority. There's only one minority quarterback in the Hall of Fame. That's Warren Moon. But Jim Plunkett, and Warren Moon never won a Super Bowl.
No.
He won 5 championships in Canada, but he did not win a Super Bowl. But Jim Plunkett has been ostracized from the NFL Hall of Fame.
And I want to bring that up because when I look at what Plunkett did, first Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles in Jaworski, they call him Jaws, he's reporting now for the mothership, and against that team. So you got a kid in Carson Wentz, and I wish everybody success. Everybody wants $100 million. I want $100 million. Listen to this, though. Plunkett's not in the Hall of Fame, but the team he demolished made their prodigal quarterback, who never won anything, $107 million, more than Jaws. I mean, he's going to be, look, Donovan McNabb took him to a Super Bowl, but he was ostracized for saying some things that were factual about Carson Wentz. And maybe they gave him the money to shut up Donovan McNabb. Big C Blackhead, slap your thoughts?
Well, no, I tell you that this is a great homage to Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb is either a genius or he'll be a GOAT at the end of this scenario.
Yeah.
If Carson Wentz doesn't live up this $107 million, Donovan McNabb has already told people that he's not a franchise quarterback for the future for the Philadelphia Eagles because they can't count on him.
Yeah.
Donovan McNabb has gone on record stating that, not from personal, just from the perspective that he sees as an analyst. If a white analyst had made that statement about Carson Wentz, it would have been okay. But because it was a black analyst making that statement about Carson Wentz, oh, he's jealous, he's envious. He's been down that line.
Yeah.
If you think about what Donovan McNabb has done in his NFL career, I know that Troy Aikman's in the Hall of Fame. Troy Aikman has 3 Super Bowl rings, a superior, great quarterback in NFL lore. But do you realize that Donovan McNabb statistically has greater statistics than Troy Aikman does NFL-wise, other than the 3 Super Bowl wins? And people say that he's not a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback. He has more wins than a lot of quarterbacks. Think about this. Sonny Jurgensen, who played with the Washington Redskins, is in the NFL Hall of Fame. He has a losing record as a starter in the NFL. He never won a Super Bowl. He has a losing record as a starter. He was on one Super Bowl team that lost to the perfect season Dolphins, I believe it was in '74.
In the Coliseum
in LA.
He was
the backup quarterback on that team. But 2 quarterbacks, Sonny Jurgensen and Joe Namath, are in the NFL Hall of Fame with losing records.
Yeah, and I think that's the 72 Dolphin teams, and I remember the great Sonny Jurgensen. So I want to just ask you this thought because I still hear people pumping their brakes on getting great black quarterbacks out of college and letting them be the franchise, the bell cow for an NFL team. And you just talked about a history of players that many of our media people were not even born. So if it's not on the teleprompter, they don't know it because they're not going to do their history read. They're just going to say, what do I read, boss? But for all the African-American quarterbacks, and the ones who have earned the right to play and don't have the chance to be even voted into the Hall of Fame, and oftentimes when you have success on the field, they pull you out to put in the white guy so they can help you win. But I thought that the city of Philadelphia is a cruel city at times, and I would like to see Carson Wentz succeed too, but he's always hurt. It's like buying a car that's always breaking down. How can you put that car and then take your family across the country if it's always breaking down? So it's interesting to see what's going to happen with Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott. Also, Goff he's won an NFC championship game. I mean, you could say they were given. Will they say he won it down in New Orleans, Big C? Or will they say it was given to him? I can't say he won. There's an asterisk by that one. But, he was in the Super Bowl and really didn't even get a touchdown pass. But I want to see what's going to happen with Prescott. Because I've watched the media over the years knock Russell Wilson for being one of the most successful quarterbacks in the NFL because he's a person of color. But they'll push up other guys like Cousins, who hasn't done anything. Well, he's not my cousin, but we're all from Africa. It's just different skin shades. And I just want to see what happens to Jerry Jones if they will at least pay a man based on his 1-loss record. That means he's number 2 in the whole NFL. Is that a fool's gold, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Jerry's going to come in saying Dak needs to give him a break. He needs to give him a hometown discount.
Wow.
That's what Jerry Jones is going to say.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones has no problem playing a defensive end $20 million. He should have no problem playing Dak Prescott at least $27 million.
Yeah.
That's the market value of a Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
He is the guy that you can count on in that Dallas offense. You can't count on Ezekiel Elliott. You never know what incident he's going to be in. You can always find another quarterback who won't go to jail.
Yeah.
And that's where Ezekiel Elliott is.
Yeah.
But Dak Prescott, there's never been anything negative about Zach. He's been nothing but a solid citizen, a solid player, a solid community guy, and teammate.
Yeah.
So when you talk about a model quarterback in the NFL who wins, all you have to do is look up and down the ledger. As you said, look at the win-loss and productivity of a quarterback.
Yeah.
Zach Prescott exemplifies what you're looking for in a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Has he won a Super Bowl? No. Has he been to a Super Bowl? No. But in the time that he has been in the NFL, only one quarterback in his class has taken a team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's Jared Goff in Los Angeles. Carson Wentz just happened to be participating on the team. Matter of fact, didn't even dress out.
Yeah.
He was in civilian clothes.
Well, I know that Troy Aikman's great, but I want to ask you, did Troy Aikman ever win a Super Bowl without Emmitt Smith, the NFL's lead rusher? Big C, your thoughts?
Never won a Super Bowl without Emmitt Smith. Matter of fact, it was hard for him to win without Emmitt Smith.
Yeah.
He started out 0-2.
0-2, yeah.
And Emmitt Smith got him to a Super Bowl. No team had ever started 0-2 in an NFL season and made it to the Super Bowl. When Jerry wrote the check after Charles Haley went crazy, they went back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll finish with this and get into the Big C pause, and then we'll come back on the second half with Golden State Toronto. I remember Super Bowl 33 down in San Diego, and it was Green Bay Packers and the Denver Broncos. It was Terrence Davis that rushed for 200 yards in 3 quarters. John Elway got 1 touchdown and was named the MVP. That make any sense, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, that's how the cookie crumbles in this industry. When you look at what great athletes have done in Super Bowls and not being rewarded.
Yeah.
It's the same with Peyton Manning getting MVP of the Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco. Yet the defense dominated the game. Von Miller should have been the MVP of that game, Jonathan, but they gave it to Peyton Manning as a swan song. Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl MVPs. For what? For receivers making great catches on bad passes.
Yeah. It's all fair and level war. I just want people to Google it. It's not about black or white to me, but it's about black or white to the ownership and then the mainstream media. And I even want our white media, just Google the win-loss record of players. Don't give us this garbage about, well, he's black. And this is what I hate. He has a good football IQ, so he's supposed to be dumb outside of that. I never heard of him say if a broadcaster has a good broadcaster's IQ. They'll just say guys are smart, and we don't hear that about white quarterback. He has a great football IQ. They'll just say a guy like Aaron Rodgers is smart, or someone like Brady. They don't know if those guys are smart, but they won't say they have a smart or high football IQ. They'll just say they're smart. I'm believing in fairness, but you got to check people when they're wrong. What we're going to do is take what's called the Big C pause, and after we do that, we'll come right back in just a moment, and we hope that you will come back with us. All right, Big C, we are back on the Big C Sports Show. You can follow Big C Sports every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. You can find us on the iHeartRadio podcast, on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Spreaker. You can find us on Spotify. You can even find us on Xfinity Comcast on television. But what I really like is if you have that app in your home, and CBS Sports has been saying this also. When you walk into your house, say, Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You hear our sponsors, and then you hear the show come up. So we really thank you for your support. Before we get into the Golden State Warriors, I just want to say this again. We just talked about D-Day, celebrating that for this great country, the land of the free, the home of the brave. If you are dealing with any type of crisis and you need help, you can call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. If you're a teenager and you're dealing with bullying and people are bullying you and you don't really know what to do, and maybe you can't go tell your parents, you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. Big C, there's a big game in Northern California. It's at the Oracle Arena, and it could be the last time the Golden State Warriors play at the Oracle. If they lose tonight, it probably will be the last time they play at the Oracle Arena. I don't think that's going to happen, but all's fair in love and war. Who knows what's going to happen? But Golden State, they face a must-win tonight against Toronto. Toronto's 2-1 on top of Golden State. But when you think about it, Golden State is only 1-4 versus Toronto in all the games they've played this season. So that's a tall mountain to climb. I thought it was a mistake that they kept out Klay Thompson just because of the situation they face now. Football players are so tough. They're guys that play with broken bones. In the Bay Area, Ronnie Lott bit his finger. I don't know if he bit it off, but I know he bit it. But so he can play. There's a lot of guys that play with cracked ribs. You talked about it yourself. Boxers play with a broken nose. I mean, they fight with a broken nose. I'm not saying be tougher than anybody, but when Klay Thompson says, "Coach, I can play," he reminds me of the pitcher, I think it's Scherzer, that told his manager, "No, let me stay in the game. I can win. I can win for our team." The manager turned around, walked to the dugout, and they won the game. They won the baseball game. So why does Coach Kerr put more credibility in what a team doctor says than what the player who has the aches and pain is saying? Nobody's healthy right now. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, if this was a one-game scenario, Klay Thompson would have played in the last game. But it wasn't a one-game scenario. You can afford to lose a game. And Steve Kerr is confident in his team's ability. But the winner of this game tonight will win the NBA title, hands down. The winner of this is they will put such pressure on the other team is that the winner of tonight's game will play. They will win the finals. When you talk about Klay Thompson, you got to talk about Kawhi Looney also.
Yeah.
Both of those players will take the needle and play tonight. Listen to what I'm saying. They will both take the injections to numb those areas and play in the game tonight. They know this is a do-or-die scenario, playing against the Raptors at home.
Yeah.
The Warriors haven't been the greatest team at home. They've showed vulnerability all year at home and even in the playoffs where they once were invincible.
Yeah.
You know, at home. Now they've become reticent losers at home, Charlton. So this is a game, this is a do-or-die game tonight for the Warriors. But you got to look at what the Raptors did in Game 3 in this series. And you go back to Game 1 when you think about Bial Saskim.
Yeah.
You know, Siakam, with a career night, Charlton, going 11 and 14 from the floor. You realize that every player that the Raptors played in this last game shot at least 50% from the floor?
Yep.
That has never been done in an NBA Finals game, Charlton.
No.
That everybody from the starters to the bench players all shot 50% from the floor.
Yeah.
So that's something that Toronto, I don't know if they can carry that into Game 4. Did they shoot it out too much? Did they leave anything in Game 3 behind? So, but, you know, the Warriors have to play better defense. You can't give that many open looks at the basket, and that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
They were giving too much separation defensively. You can always think about how great a team is offensively, but your defense is what's going to propel you to a championship. And if you allow Toronto to shoot again 50% from the floor as a team, you're going to go down 3-1 and lose the series.
What's your impression of Marcus Cousins? Because we know people can take it easy, but he's not in great shape. He's a big guy. It's hard for a big guy to get in shape fast, like a smaller guy. But it seems like he takes so much pressure off of his team if he can stay in and rebound. Like he get in Game 2, but he also played longer than they wanted him to play in Game 2, and so he was expended. His gas tank was on empty, and we know what it's like when you're on empty. Maybe he can recharge himself for tonight, but were you disappointed in how he was dominated by Gasol and Ibaka? I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, Cousins is not healthy either, Charlton. I mean, he still has that quad injury. I mean, people think just because he's on the floor that he's healthy. No, he's only at 80% at best.
Yeah.
And he was an 80% out of shape player in there. So he expended himself immensely in Game 2 and getting the point production that he did.
Yeah.
That's what allowed them to win the game, Charlton. When he just didn't have it in Game 3, that he was fatigued and also aching, it showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at Game 3, Kawhi Leonard seemed to have a new pep. He had a couple dunks, something he hadn't had in the first couple of games of the series.
That's right.
So when I look at players, Charlton, when it gets down to it, and I know it's an ugly word in sports, taking the needle. That's what guys have been doing. I know that Kawhi Leonard did it in Game 3 because he played at a different level.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was playing pain-free.
Yeah.
He took the needle and went out there and said, I got to have it for this game.
Yeah.
Players will do that. You're going to see 3 players from the Warriors do it tonight. You're going to see Looney. You're going to see Thompson. And even Cousins, he's going to take it, Charlton, because you got to do it. You know you got months to rest.
Yeah.
So, you know, the injuries that they have, we're not going to see Kevin Durant at all in this series. As everybody keeps walking around saying, well, you know, there's a word on him for tonight's game, maybe the next game. He's not going to play.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant has an Achilles injury. And I told people that from day one. Everybody said, well, no, it's a strained calf. When you have an Achilles injury, everybody, and go watch the replays every time they show it on television.
Yeah.
It's like somebody walked up and kicked you in the heel. You always turn around and see if somebody's behind you.
Yep.
Everybody who's ever had an Achilles injury has the same reaction. They turn around like somebody's behind them and the Achilles is gone.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant had that same reaction. He turned around, looked behind him because he thought somebody had kicked him.
Yeah.
It was his Achilles, not his calf.
Yeah. And so give me your feeling on this. We know that Leonard's doing something and he's taking away some of the pain. But also Curry goes for 47 points. When you drop 47 points, you also expend a lot of energy, especially when you're not getting help from your teammates. So if they can get Thompson out there tonight and he can drop 15 to 20, that puts him in a better situation than not having him there at all. But also, I want to get your feeling. Draymond Green is going to be Draymond Green. He's going to be solid. But when you look at what's happening with Gasol, if Looney can play, he's going to stop some of that stuff that Gasol is doing because Looney's a great rebounder. Now, I don't know how a guy goes from tearing something that they say he's out for the season, he's going to play tonight, but you said they're going to take some chewing gum? There's a special type of chewing gum or Rolaids. They're going to take something.
Take some hurt no more.
There's some hurt no more. I've heard of that spray before, Big C. Give me your feeling on if Looney comes back, even if he's 80%, what does he do for Golden State rebound-wise?
Well, Charlton, they need mobility in the middle. That's what Golden State has lacked. When you think about Cousins, he has spent a lot of time out on the arc.
Yeah.
And Bogut has not showed me mobility when he's been in the game. Both of those guys have seemed sluggish. You have a little more athleticism when Looney is playing, and that's what Golden State's offense is predicated on, is athleticism. When you look at the players, the interchangeable players, you're looking at players that can move without the ball.
Yeah.
Those big men that Golden State have in Bogut and Cousins haven't been that type of player.
Yeah.
And neither one of them have been healthy.
I want to get your feeling on something. I talked about it yesterday. The investor for Golden State, where he pushed Kyle Lowry. Now, I know he's part of the ownership. I mean, maybe they're going to get rid of him now because they fined him $500,000 and said he's got to be away for a year. I think there's still more to drop on that. Now, when you have libations, it makes you have a lot of what they call liquid courage. He wouldn't want to face Kyle Lowry in the parking lot by themselves. But when you know you got security and the libations, you're going to push someone and then hug, duck and hide and hope somebody steps in the way. But that was wrong for that investor to do that. I think it's Steve Martin, I think is his name. But give me your feeling, is $500,000 fine too much or not enough, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, is there a guideline far as a fine table for what somebody does, Charlton, in an ownership group from a fan's perspective? There's always going to be debate on who should have done what should a penalty be, and everybody has their own personal opinion. The problem I have is that the NBA is constantly inviting everybody to the court side.
Yeah.
When you put seats in the domain of players that you want to have that up close and personal, these fans are sitting 3 feet off the court line, Charlton.
Yeah.
So the NBA creates this problem when players go into the stands and they leap to save a ball and they jump on fans. Should a player be fined? I mean, you got to look at this from both perspectives.
Yeah.
When a player weighing 250 pounds leaps into the stands, lands on a couple fans, breaks something, is that team liable? Is the player liable? Is anybody going to be suspended? No, because they said buyer beware. Just like we talked about in baseball.
Yeah.
With putting up the netting. You buy that ticket at your own risk to sit down there at field level.
Yeah.
But when you're going to talk about fan interaction with players, I mean, think about what NFL players have gone through for decades. Think about what baseball players have gone through for decades. Think about when Jackie Robinson came into the major league, all the vitriol that he had to deal with.
Yeah, all that garbage.
Constantly being thrown at, being spit on, being cursed at. It was acceptable as long as just white fans were doing it back then.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the black players in numbers like you have now.
Right.
I'm not condoning what this ownership guy did, Charlton. And he's being called out because he was in ownership.
Yeah.
We've seen fans push and touch players throughout the decades.
Yep.
But because this guy is in ownership, they say he's held to a different standard, which he should be.
Yeah.
But when you're allowing alcohol consumption in these venues,
what do you expect?
They just rich alcoholics sitting courtside.
Yeah. And I thought maybe it was too egregious until I saw he said something to Lowry, and I think that's part of the problem. We don't know what was said. I know Russell Westbrook got fined, I think it was $25,000 because he retaliated verbally to the player to the fan that was verbally assaulting him. I want to see it get better with the fan interaction because NBA is so fun because they let you get right next to the players. They do that. I remember asking you, is it a good or bad thing that they stopped the fan interaction with players? I remember the Boston Celtics won a championship back in Boston Garden. I think they had defeated the Lakers one time. Larry Bird was there. and Johnny Moss, the great broadcaster. And the fans, they swarm the floor at that Boston Garden. And they don't do that anymore. And I thought that was great theater for the sport, but I remember you saying they can't do that anymore because we're in a too happy society and too many people come at athletes. Big C, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, athletes trying to get off the court, Charlton, you elbow somebody, you step on somebody, and you're going to be sued. But not only that, you put the athletes in danger.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what Yahoo is coming out of the stands and what his intentions are. So it's for the protection of the players. Fans buy a ticket to view the game, not participate in the game. So keep them in their areas, just like you don't want players going up in the stands after fans. You don't want fans coming down on the playing surface towards players.
Yeah.
But players have always taken abuse, and they continue to take abuse from fans. Go to Utah and witness a game.
Yeah.
You'll have more abuse in Utah in one night than you've had in your lifetime, listening to words that they say to minority players when they're in that town talking. But it revels in every ballpark. Hockey, basketball, baseball, football. I mean, you think about the black players in the NHL, the verbal bantering that they have to deal with during a game, the name calling that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And people don't think about that. There are black players in the NHL, and there's a lot of racist fans in the NHL, and Gary Bettman does nothing about it.
Nothing about it.
Just like in Adam Silver. Yes, you're going to find the guy, you're going to suspend him.
Yeah.
But think about it. If you start suspending fans and taking away their tickets for the stuff that they say to the black players in the NBA, how many fans would there be in the stands?
That's a very good point. And I know they have to find a way to fix it. And we know in time...
You got to fix society before you fix a sport. This is a societal problem. It's not a sports problem. You're being empowered by a guy that's in the White House to say anything negative to a black person or a person of color that you want. Because he says it all the time. So because you are a backer of him, you can go into an arena and say, hey, we're taking our country back. We're going to do and say what we want without anything. And Trump said that. We want to take our country back. We want to go back to the days when we did what we wanted to do, and there was never any repercussion for it. And you're getting a lot of that even in the sports arenas.
You know, I think about that as he's hugging people and saying that we want to tell you that we're proud of you and thank you for your service and some of the things that he's done. And I understand. I want to see the fans have a great interaction with the players. Let me get your thoughts tonight. I know we don't predict games. We don't say who's going to win what. But if Toronto is going to win, I want to get your thoughts on what they must do in order to get this game tonight, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, they got to continue playing like they played. They got to be physical. That's what they've done. They've taken the physicality to the Golden State Warriors, and the officials have let them play that way. But when you shoot 50% from the floor, you think about Fred VanVleet. Since his son was born, he has been shooting 48% from the floor in the last two series. Coming off the bench, that's instant offense. He reminds me right now of Vinnie Johnson when he used to play with the Detroit Pistons, the Bad Boys. The microwave would come off the bench and just light it up. Also, Fred Brown, when he played with the Seattle Supersonics when they won their title. You know, that sixth man who came off the bench and he was instant offense, that's what VanVleet has been for the Raptors. Siakam has played a solid game. You know that Kawhi Leonard is going to get his points. But there's been no answer for Gasol in the middle zone.
What must Golden State do? You know, I don't want to hear about injuries. I've never known an athlete to, you know, sometimes basketball players, they act like they want to fight. I mean, we've seen Rondo throw punches. We've seen Chris Paul. We've seen guys, you know, sell wolf tickets like they're tough. I've seen football players play with broken bones. I've seen boxers fight with broken bones. MMA guys fight with something broken. Don't act like a basketball player has to be 100% because nobody is. And like Curry said, and I love what Steph Curry said, nobody cares about the excuses. You either win or you don't. What must Golden State do to win tonight, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, what they must do is shoot better, Charlton. They have been an atrocious shooting team from the floor. They've got to tighten up on their defense. When you let a team continuously get double-digit leads, first quarter, second quarter, you expend too much energy fighting back. As long as they stay in a double-digit deficit, Charlton, in the first half, they're not going to come back. This is not the Golden State team from 2 years ago where in the third quarter they always came out on a double-digit run. This is a tired team right now. So they have to find a way to keep the game close. They cannot continue to give Toronto open looks at the basket and shooting 50% from the floor.
Well, and also they got to play better defense. I know they were in foul trouble. They had 2 fouls in the first 62 seconds of the game. in Oracle, and that's not what you expect for the home team. Kerr has to be up out of his seat, getting through the officials the way he did against Houston. That gives him a better chance. I would love to see more basketball, and I think that can happen tonight with a win. Major League Baseball, Cincinnati at Philadelphia, Arizona at Toronto, Colorado at New York Mets, Minnesota at Detroit, the New York Yankees at Cleveland, Tampa Bay at Boston, Atlanta at Miami, and then Oakland at Texas. Big C, how many people in Oakland in the East Bay will watch the Oakland A's play the Texas Rangers tonight? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, it got to be at least a dozen guys, watching the game.
Yeah.
I mean, because all the interest is in Oracle Arena tonight, Charlton. This is a monumental game in many ways.
Yeah.
Potentially could be the last game ever played there. Potentially could be an opportunity to return back for a championship run.
Yeah, and I think
so. This is something that you're looking at. Either way, it's history in the making tonight at Oracle.
I agree. I think they'll be back, Big C. You have Baltimore at Houston. You have Pittsburgh at Milwaukee, Chicago at Kansas City, Seattle at Los Angeles, the Angels of Anaheim, Washington Nationals at San Diego, the LA Dodgers at San Francisco. What a night to have the LA Dodgers and San Francisco Giants play. I know that's the West Coast biggest rivalry, but I doubt if you'll see a sold out what they call Oracle Park. Now, there's two Oracles in the Bay Area. Oracle Arena for the Golden State Warriors and Oracle Park for the San Francisco Giants. Big C, which one will have more people tonight? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, you got to look at that Dodgers rivalry with the Giants.
Yeah.
That's historic. Fans, baseball fans are baseball fans.
Yeah.
There are people who live and breathe baseball. They are aficionados about the game.
Yeah.
You're going to have great fanfare. You're going to constantly have the score popping up on the screen in that park.
Yeah.
But you can't get everybody at Oracle Arena. There's monitors all around these arenas. Not only that, people have these little cellular devices in their hand that they can pull the game up on, take your laptop. So they're going to have a decent crowd just because it's a Dodger Giant rivalry.
Well, I believe so too, but I think there's just so much energy at Oracle tonight. And then St. Louis at the Chicago Cubs. So, good luck with all the baseball teams playing tonight. I want to just ask your thoughts. The Seattle Mariners, they got off to the hottest start in baseball this year. They were 12-2. And since then, would you believe they've only been 14-38? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's the tide of baseball. When teams get off the hot starts, you look at it and say, okay, what's the reason for this? And they opened up the series knocking off the defending world champions Boston Red Sox in a sweep in Seattle. And everybody's like, what's wrong with the Sox? And all of a sudden the Mariners were hot.
Yeah.
But Charlton, time catches up with you, the consistency of play. And when you get off to that hot start, you got to be able to maintain it. As we say, baseball doesn't begin until July.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, July is about to roll around, Charlton, and they've lost 3 times as many games as they won.
Yeah, they may have some bad fish up there, that fish market, because you eat too much fish. I thought it was good for you, but I think if you eat too much of it, it also makes you sweat a lot. And I don't know if they like to sweat when it's cold in Seattle. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charles, it might make the ball a little slippery from that fish oil also, sliding off the bat the wrong way.
Yeah, something fishy is going on in Seattle. The first month of the season, can you believe? The Chicago's a great media market. I mean, it's a great sports town. But they were calling for the firing of Cubs manager Joe Maddon. They wanted him removed. And now the Cubs, because they relaxed a little bit with the libations that flow around in Chicago, they're in first place. They wanted to fire the good old boy back in the day. Your thoughts?
It's amazing how the media will constantly call for somebody's head other than their own when they write a bad story. I wonder if all the media personnel out there, Charlton, radio and television, and even print, all of those people that were calling for Joe Maddon, are they going in giving in their resignation right now?
Probably not, Dixie. I think that's funny. But I love the Cubs, not only because I've been to Wrigley Field. It's a great city. But I love they have that big C on their jersey. Have you ever noticed that, Big C? Your thoughts?
Yeah, Cubby's been around for a long time, Charlton. It's one of those signatures that they never changed in major leagues. But the iconicness of Wrigley Field, Charlton, is just a true baseball ballpark.
It really is a beautiful place. Big C, the LA Dodgers. Would you believe the Dodgers, Dodger Blue, Vin Scully territory? They have the best record in Major League Baseball. They're 33-20. And I think Bellinger's going to be the National League Player of the Year. That's just my thoughts if he keeps swinging the bat the way he is now. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I look at the Dodgers, Charlton, and I wonder about who the president of the Los Angeles Dodgers that has a team in first place.
A little bit of magic in the house.
a little bit of magic in the house, and nobody bothers it.
No,
because all of those people who are running around reveling about basketball know nothing about baseball.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson has made magical moves with the Los Angeles Dodgers, Charlton. They, even with the controversial trades that the media said were controversial, that have panned out. You know, they took Yasiel Puig, shipped him off to Cincinnati. They took Cody Bellinger from first base, put him in right field. And wow, you got an MVP candidate, and you got the best team in baseball.
Yeah, and I know they're rolling strong down there at Dodger Blue Chabez Ravine. Would you believe? I know we talk about quarterbacks at the college level, and there's a top 11 that we'll touch on more coming up on the season. But I know the New England Patriots, they robbed somebody because they had like 6 Infinity Stones. They must have robbed Thanos from the movie The Avengers because they had 6 Infinity Stones on that new ring. And I think that when you think about how big their ring is, it's the largest ring, I think, that's ever been assembled for someone's fingers. Big C, the New England Patriots, their players and coaches and team executives, football staff received their Super Bowl 53 championship rings last night at a private party at owner Robert Kraft's residence. And I hear that he had some live entertainment, but I think it was just singers, Big C, this time, Big C. Your thoughts?
No massage tables were set up, Charlton, for the players and staff. He left those in the back room, okay?
Yeah, and they didn't videotape it either.
But, you know, you think about it, that, you know, the 6th Super Bowl ring of the New England Patriots and the largest ring of all time in professional sports.
Yeah.
And you have to celebrate it in that capacity, Charlton. You know, to have players that have accomplished that. Tom Brady is the only one who has been there for all 6 of those, along with Bill Belichick, Charlton. But the history of the organization, to be able to put a consistent winner on the field. I mean, they have 6 wins, but they have 9 appearances in the Super Bowl. That's what people are not counting. They have six championship rings, but they also have 3 AFC championship rings, Charlton, under this coaching staff. But so when you think about a legacy of an organization and what they've accomplished, I don't know if the ring could be big enough to signify what they have done as an organization.
Remember back in the days when Jim Plunkett played for Boston. He played for the Patriots back in the day. And you look at all the players that they've had over the years. I believe the great Doug Flutie played up there as well. They've had so many good players, but they just didn't get over the hump. And I know Brady gets a lot of praise. As an athlete, he's not a dominant athlete. He's just a good quarterback in a good system. We talk about quarterbacks and coaches. Is this the best that we've seen? I know we've had Shula and Staubach. Of course, we've had Al Davis, and he's had Jim Plunkett. But I get your feeling. Troy Aikman, even and Jimmy Johnson down south and down in Dallas. Anyone else come close to what these two guys have done? Shula, of course, and his good old boy Greasy. Give me your thoughts on Brady. Is it just that they're that good, or if they had a different quarterback but Belichick still win like that? Your thoughts?
Well, if you look at the organization of New England, Charlton, they have 11 Super Bowl appearances. You think about that, 11. They had one with Tony Eason. They had one with Drew Bledsoe. Not Drew Bledsoe. The kid out of Drew Bledsoe. So Tom Brady's gone there 9 times. So when you think about any other quarterbacks, people can say Terry Bradshaw was 4-0. They can say that the San Francisco 49ers, Montana, won a couple Super Bowls. But to have been to this big game so many times,
amazing.
I don't look at just the wins. I look at the appearances. 9 appearances, 9 opportunities to be the best in the world. And you've gotten it right more times than you've gotten it wrong going there, Charlton. There are teams that have still not been to the Super Bowl one time in the NFL in their history. Detroit Lions have not gone to the Super Bowl. You think about the length of time that they've been in the league, and we've had newer franchises make it there. Cleveland Browns have never been to the Super Bowl. We're talking about heritage teams in the NFL that have never been to the Super Bowl. But you think about what the New England Patriots have done, Charlton, since the combining of the leagues, becoming one league, that they have dominated all of professional football. And people will say, well, they're in the AFC East. The last I checked, those other 3 teams in the AFC East, Charlton, have the same amount of money that they spend every year. They have the same salary cap. So when people say that New England has an unfair advantage, Everybody has the same salary cap in the NFL.
Yeah.
But if you choose to pay your quarterback $125, $150 million, and he doesn't win, and Tom Brady said, I'll accept $20 million because we're going to win, you have to question yourself as management. That's all you have to do. Carson Wentz just got $107 million guaranteed.
More than Tom Brady.
Over the next 4 years. Tom Brady has not made that much money over the last 4 years.
What a bargain.
But in the last 4 years, I do believe, Charlton, that he has gone to 4 Super Bowls. You think about that. In the last 4 years, Tom Brady has gone to 4 Super Bowls and has not made $100 million.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? You're getting outpaid, Tom, but it's all fair in love and war. I just want to tell you can follow Big C Sports Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. on the iHeartRadio podcast. You can find us on Google Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts, on Spreaker, on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Xfinity Comcast. But what I really like is that app on your home is called Alexa. Play Big C Sports Podcast. It will play our sponsors, and then the show will come up. We thank them for the support. If you're dealing with any issues, there's a National Suicide Hotline, 800-273-8255. 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. There's a lot going on in the sports universe. Golden State Warriors versus Toronto Raptors is the biggest show in the universe. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, we have a decisive game in the NBA Championship Series tonight in Game 4. The winner of this game will undoubtedly win the championship, Charlton, because it'll be too much of an emotional hill for the other team to come back from. But also, we can have a new Stanley Cup champion this weekend if St. Louis can fulfill their dream, Charlton, by knocking off the Boston Bruins in back-to-back games.
I just want to know, can a Clydesdale walk around on ice, or would it be skated on ice? Speaking of ice, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America, and Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please pick up the phone, call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to put up with that garbage. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.